Okay, we're back. Welcome to another fine edition of Libby in the Backyard Boy. And there's Libby. Alright, remember in our last segment we were putting in the zipper plate. The zipper plate is now in. I took the liberty of connecting the 4 bolts using Loctite red. You want to use red Loctite. And we've also installed the stator with the 4 stator bolts, which requires a torque socket, and you want to use a blue Loctite on that, not red, blue, because you may have to replace this one day and you don't want to come in here and ruin this zipper plate. It is aluminum. So, now we're back to the most important thing. Remember the bolt we talked about, discussed earlier. I told you do not take apart, and also snug it up, don't tighten it down yet, don't Loctite it. I'll show you why. Now that we got the zipper plate in place, it's going to make it much easier to torque this bolt down, tighten it up with the zipper plate in place. So I'm going to loosen this bolt. Remember in the other issue where we just snugged it down, you loosen it up, boom. There we go. And then take that out. There it is. Alright, so now we're going to put some Loctite on it. And we're going to use an ample amount on this 2 sides and 1 little dot on the flange. This doesn't have a locking retainer, so you're going to have to utilize the Loctite. It takes about 20 pounds of torque on this, but I've been doing it for so long that I can do it by hand, and I know what's going on. So I do it by hand, and I don't use a torque wrench. So you notice that I put it right back into place. When you're tightening this down by hand, keep your hand mid-ratchet, not out here on the end. That way you don't get too much torque. You strip that out, you're in trouble, you're back to point A and you're hurting for something. Alright? So I'm going to get that good and tight. That should do it right there. Now, our zipper plate is complete. Now keep in mind, there are different companies out there making these plates. The best one I've found is the one with the Superman on it and the Z. It's called a zipper plate. Everything went into place nicely. No monkeying around, different bolt holes, wallering it out. The machining work is great on this. Now, this kit comes with a washer or a spacer. It goes right here. And what that spacer does is bring that clutch basket rotor out to place. So your more beefier zipper plate doesn't hit the rotor and the clutch basket. Now, the whole purpose of this mission is to get this Sportster charging properly on a constant basis, because that is the problem with the early model Sportsters. They would charge sometimes, they wouldn't charge. You'd buy regulators, you'd buy stators, you'd throw all kinds of crazy stuff at it and constantly have this on and off charging problem. The reason why is because of the trapdoor, and the bearing was so wobbly and weak. This thing would wobble around on here, make contact with the stator, and you'd charge sometimes and sometimes you wouldn't. Now we have this spacer in here. We're going to go ahead and place on this and do our last little check. And what we're checking for is to make sure that none of this in the back is making contact with any of the bolts or making contact with the stator. And I can spin it. I don't feel anything weird or hitting, so this is great. Now, you notice we got the basket on now, and I'll grab a hold of it. It is tight, tighter than Dick's hat band. This sucker is going to be perfect. Before, I would have the wobble. I don't know if you caught that in the first issue, but there was a wobble in this thing, and now it's all gone. So we got a complete zipper plate installation. I've skipped some of the simpler stuff. If you're a beginner and you can't do a chain and a clutch gear or a clutch basket, this job is too much for you. So I left it simple, got it broke down to where a novice could handle this job, and this is the complete job. All we got to do now is put our spacer and our clip in here, put our clutch basket, gears, and chain on, button up the housing, and we're going to have a tight, beautiful charging system and a beefier zip plate. So next time we'll get together, I think we'll have some more helpful information on these early model Sportsters, because they are becoming a collector's item slowly but surely. So if you have one, take pride in it. Fix it up. You can do this yourself. I did this outdoors. I did it in the backyard, so you will know that it can be done without a lot of fancy tools, big garage, basic hand tools, and a little bit of know-how. Alright, until next time, catch us.